Well, and that
And
was one where many people told her this is never going to work.
yeah.
Now, my view of it was she knew it was never going to work in the beginning. This was just a giant grift.
Why the self-sabotage? It's because it's interesting. People can't admit that their path is wrong or that their idea doesn't work. But the reality of things is, if you look at the most successful people in the world throughout time, all of them, the ones that have reached the greatest heights, have failed more than they've succeeded. And they've admitted their failures and they've learned from them and they've moved forward based on that knowledge. You learn more from a failure than you do from a victory.
Yes. I agree with that.
Victories do not teach you much except boost your ego. I mean, you can look at it and say, okay, I did this one thing and that was successful. But what happens is often with a victory is you think that, okay, that is the path to always being victorious. So you just keep doing that thing and it's not good enough.
Especially if it's, I mean, we're talking about people here, especially if the victory comes very early on in their life or their career or whatever they're pursuing, because then they get very tunnel vision.
Well, that's a real thing here on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
If we look at my other channel, TCF, that was very successful very early on. But the truth is, the things that we did very early on to build that initial audience, they no longer apply. And if I were to continue to do those things, we would not grow. I mean, some of the stuff does, but a lot of it has just changed. You constantly have to evolve. So, and it's heightened by the fact, or rather it's made worse by the fact if you go into something with the wrong idea to start with, and then you continue to double, triple, fourple down on it. And yes, I said fourple.
I know.
On purpose.
I like it.
Cool, thanks. But again, it's an ego thing, and you know, it's like the quickest way to bankruptcy, I'm telling you. I don't know.
So it's like PR versus the internal awareness. They might know, but they don't want other people to know. So
yeah, you know, that's a good point too. There's a lot of that. They don't want to admit their failure, so they'll continue to prop up just how great they're doing, you know.
Falsely, very often.
Yeah. We've seen that with people that we know closely.
Yes. Where things are presented to
be great.
Yeah, when they're really not.
I don't know. What do you think, Michael?
Well, I think part of the problem is, and you know, this isn't just corporations, it's government, it's the sunken cost fallacy. We keep doubling down on it because we've already invested so much into it. We can't possibly turn back and admit that we were wrong. So let's just keep forging on ahead and put the best possible spin on it that we can. And again, it's that ego, it's that hubris, it's the pride. You know, why do the politicians, why do they keep doing, why do the leaders keep going for the dumb wars and the dumb military operations and these things that are wildly unpopular, but, you know, the loyalists will still spin it to make it, you know, be popular, at least to them, or try and make it sound better than it is. Because very few in the history of politicians have ever said, whoops, you know what, man, I screwed up. It was a bad decision. I made a terrible decision. It's always going to be pointing to the predecessor. It's always going to be pointing to somebody else, the other side in the political world, you know. In corporations, it's the same story. It's like, well, yeah, that's the reason this didn't work. It had nothing to do with my decision as CEO, or it had nothing to do with us, you know, as our company. It had to do with...
We inherited the problem.
Yeah, we inherited the problem. Again, that's politics too. We inherited the problem, or this is the market. This isn't us, you know.
Oh, yeah, it's the customer's fault. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the customers, or it's we had to deal with a changing environment of the world, economics, and the global economy or whatever. They'll always come up with some spin. So that's why they can't possibly. And honestly, it's one of those things where it's just. There's a lot of people that just will never take accountability. I mean, again, this, what a crossover. But Dan, I mean, we see it all the time on TCF. We see it all the time on in police body cams and people that just can't admit that they were wrong or can't take accountability for what they did. And if we had more of that, well, this wouldn't be a topic because,
we wouldn't be able to talk about it for 20 minutes.
Yeah, we certainly wouldn't. This is definitely a big problem. Just the people that just can't say I'm sorry or I screwed up. Oops, didn't see that coming, because they're so afraid to look. It's almost like this idea that I'll look weak or I'll lose my job. But I would have a whole lot more respect for anybody. I don't care on a local, like politician, on a local level, on a regional, national level. It doesn't matter if they just said, you know what? Bad decision. It's on me. You know what? I'm not even going to blame an advisor. I made the choice. Ultimately, I signed off on it. I shouldn't have. Oops. Same thing in corporations. Like, yeah, man, I really thought this was going to work out.
Earlier, both of you had brought up, I think Michael primarily, but had brought up Elizabeth Holmes and Bernie Madoff, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think, especially with the Elizabeth Holmes one, do you think a lot of it was trying to push through, like at the time, what maybe she believed was a rough period, or believed that if I can just get to the next step or get one more investor or whatever, that then I can fix the financial pressure or the issue that is already there. So it may start out like as a small problem, and then because they're doubling down, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But initially they think they're actually on the right track by trying to correct it.
Yeah, but you have to, there's just some people that should not be in charge of things. They shouldn't be in a leadership position. They shouldn't run their own company, anything like that, because it's a little bit of an art form to know when to just let go of something.
Yes.
You and I have done a lot of things. If we had pushed on with many different things other than saying, nope, this isn't going to work, and stop, we'd probably be bankrupt multiple times over by now. Because you have to be able to recognize, okay, this isn't going to be what I thought it was going to be, so I'm going to cut my losses now. And you look at like Elizabeth Holmes, you know what? Her initial idea, I don't think you can poo-poo it.
It was a great idea. If she could have pulled it off.
All these tests with this single drop of blood, it would have been revolutionary.
Yeah.
But it didn't work. It was clear it wasn't going to work, but she kept on with the charade, this whole fake it till you make it. At some point, we'll figure it out kind of mentality. And no, it didn't work, because she should have never been in charge of anything. She should have been in a lab working her idea, trying to figure it out, rather than being the one running the show.
Well, and that was one where many people told her this is never going to work. Yeah. Now, my view of it was she knew it was never going to work in the beginning. This was just a giant grift. I don't think there was well-intention there. I think that was just a huge grift.
Really?
But she perpetuated it the whole time because, hey, I got all these guys that want to be in on the next big thing. It's there. That's the thing too, is you see people. How do people get scammed? Well, people get scammed for a lot of reasons, but the big one is because it's the FOMO factor. It's the fear of missing out. And if what she was proposing was even plausible, And somebody was sitting there and she came before them and they missed out on this. And this thing goes huge and it becomes this $100 billion biz or $1 trillion biz, and they miss out. So of course people, they'll hear these ideas, and even if they sound ridiculous, they'll be like, well, one of these has got to hit. So I'm going to invest some money. And, but that's one way that people get scammed, right? I mean, you see that it's the FOMO factor. It's, I don't want to miss out. I missed out on the last big thing that came along. I'm not going to get fooled by this. Well, I'm going to get in on it right away. And so, it's just like, those mediums, those guys that talk to the dead, the John Edwards and those other guys, I think that they are some of the scummiest people. As I fight a sneeze. I've been doing that the whole show.
Like the seance chiropractor thing from the previous episode.
Yes. How do they work? Well, because people have lost a loved one and they want to talk to that person, or they think somebody has the ability to reach out to their dead relative or friend or whatever. And people are, when they are in a vulnerable position, they are much more easily scammed. And elderly as well, just in general. So that's what I worry about too. That's another factor is, all these people, there's so many vulnerable people and people that are sharks that are, willing to take advantage of those people. Bernie Madoff, that scam was going to keep going. His was like great as long as you can find more people to take money from and just shuffle the money around and then, and keep enriching yourself. I mean, he could have kept going forever on that, so long as somebody didn't go, hey, by the way, how's my investment doing? Can I get my money now? As long as that didn't happen, he was going to be golden.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. This again, this is what's going to continue throughout human history. I don't think we're gonna build more guardrails, but we're never going to stop it.
So this is probably a little bit of a tangent, but that's sometimes what we do here. What do you think is the motivation behind these people when they start with a mistake or a choice, depending? I would argue that, to go back to Elizabeth Holmes, I would personally argue it was a mistake. I think she legit had an idea, but she couldn't make it work. You think it was a choice. You think it was a scam from the start. But what is it that leads these people to allow it to so colossally blow up in their faces? I mean, because you could play a shorter game with that sort of thing, even if it was intentional, even if you knew it wasn't going to work. She could have easily ran this thing for a few years, made several $1 million running this company, and had that in a bank account because she's paying herself out of the corporation, and then go, you know what? We couldn't make it work. We're done.
Instead of ruining
and still had
so
money
many
to go on and do
lives.
the next thing. What is it about these people that when they see something isn't going to work, that they just, what is it about it that they'll just keep going and going and going, even though the end result, for like Elizabeth Holmes and Bernie Madoff and stuff, the end result is the loss of your freedom. I
think they get to be, they think they're invincible, maybe.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, I'm not a doctor, obviously, and I'm just hypothesizing, so everything I say, take it with a large grain of salt. But I often wonder if there's a psychological component there, because there's definitely similarities between a lot of those people when you look at their personalities. And again, going back kind of to the tunnel vision, it could be tunnel vision. It could be, not to go all Freud here, but it could be just and in such an inflated ego that they believe it, like a god complex, that they can't fail. They're never going to be Icarus. They're not, you know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah, but they're always Icarus.
I know.
They're always,
Yeah.
and nobody seems to learn that lesson.
I know, but that's why
And
I
it's
said
just
I wonder.
insane.
I wonder if there's like a common chromosome or something. You know what I mean?
There has to be something, because you and I, we're trying to build something here, and we have a place where we want to go. But I'm not interested in enriching myself and then have it all taken away from me because I did it wrong.
Yeah.
I would rather not have it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, because for lack of a better way to put it, what a mind fuck.
Yeah.
To get all of these things and all, achieve all of this stuff, but it's built upon sand, and then the whole thing collapses and you lose it all. I can't fathom that. But so many people do it, and so many people try it.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
just,
once you
it's
start
so
to see the
damaging
money,
to everybody. Pardon?
yeah, once you start to see the money, Dan, like when you, I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and say, yeah, these guys are scum, and then these guys, how do they do it? But it's another when you start doing something, and suddenly in your bank account there's 7 and 8 digits. You got tens of millions of dollars in your bank account, and you almost start to believe your own hype. You start, and then you think, you know what, man, I'm a smart person. I can talk my way, even if I get in trouble, I can talk my way out of it or through it. I'm not like these other people. It'll never happen to me. Whatever rationalization. But this happens with criminals too. They always think, hey, I've found the way I can be the next whatever, the next B2K killer, or what, I could be the next whatever, because I know better. I know how to do this. I found the way around. Those guys were so stupid. This is how they got caught. I won't do that. Whatever. There's all sorts of, again, it goes back to what I said before about just ego in general. I mean, that's just it. That's all it is. It's, everyone thinks, well, it won't happen to me.
Fair. I don't know that everybody thinks that. A lot of people do, though.
Well, maybe not everybody. I mean, some people just think, again, they sort of just buy into and sometimes it's other people that have hyped them up, and they think, well, I got all this support from other people, or I'm what I'm doing really isn't wrong.
Yeah, if you surround yourself with yes men who are also benefiting from your grift.
Yeah, or other people have done this same thing and nothing ever happened to them.
Yeah.
There's also that, there's, I don't know. I guess there's some people that just don't think that what they're doing is wrong, or they've convinced themselves of it. And so, in their mind, it's not, I don't know. There's a lot of reasons. That's part of the criminal mind, I don't know. It's like this guy, this David guy, D4VD. This guy, David,
I saw that too.
Michelle has followed that case quite closely, and it is a strange, you talk about everything off the rails, from the police investigation, which has taken forever. And I mean, to me, I don't know, maybe I'm too simplistic a person, but girl that this guy is hanging out with, underage girl that this guy is hanging out with, ends up in the back of his Tesla, deceased, in pieces. I don't know. You don't have to exactly be Lenny Briscoe to solve this one. I don't think. I don't know. This doesn't seem like it would be that difficult a thing to figure out, but I don't know. And how does this guy, now again, this guy is, this David guy, he got this huge record contract at like 18, 19. He's all over TikTok, very popular there. You know, so he has that in, and when you listen to him, he really believes into his own BS. So, I mean, I understand where he's coming from in terms of that. So, but how did, you know, going back to where this all started, how does that fail so badly? Dude was hanging out with this underage girl. Everyone knew about it for so long. Nobody did anything about it. And then suddenly, yep, she's gone. She, you know, she's 14 years old. And boy, I mean, that's where the system failed big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd not even heard of that guy until today when I saw a push on it.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar.
So
either,
that shows you how out of touch I am with what is hip and happening.
Yeah,
And
that's been going on for a while.
If that's what we're looking at.
Hey, thanks for watching. In the Blind is a news show for Mike and me, and we'd really love it if you could hit the subscribe button, do a thumbs up, leave a comment. All of those things really help this channel get found by other people, so we'd really appreciate the support. Thanks so much.